Hello and welcome to the moon! This is Cardboard Decoy playing Kerbal Space Program. There we go. It's a new day of recording for me, so give me a second while I try to remember all of my stuff that I usually say. So yeah, I made it to the moon. It's okay. I redesigned the spaceship. I rather like it. So all is relatively well. We are going to do a very short hop off of the top of this thing and then crumple into a big pile of very miserable Kerbin. Let's see, let's get our EVA report from the sky. There's nothing to get. Let's get our EVA report from the ground. Keep data, and then take surface sample. Keep data. Looks like that was worth a lot of science. So, and now we should be able to make it back. So this is gonna be a watershed moment for us in our Kerbal Space Program history here. And as long as I can make it back into the ship proper. There we go. So as you can see, we have a ton of fuel left. And 2 whole stages, and a parachute, and landing gears, and all of that fun. And let me see here. We're going to switch to over here and see how Jeb's doing. How you doing, Jeb? You got no fuel. You've been here. He's only been here for 3 days. That's not so bad. I mean, he's enjoying his time on the dark side of the moon here, it looks like. So he's totally fine. No worries there. Satellite lander. Switch to. Okay, cool. I'm gonna take a drink of my coffee and then we're taking off. Let's blow this popsicle stand. Right about now. Whee! Alright, and then we want to head east. And yeah, that's a pretty good angle to take off from, I think. We'll wait till we get to about... Yeah, we're just slowly correcting over this way. And then we'll hit... Hopefully about... Yeah... Sorry, I'm thinking and also doing at the same time, and it's not exactly the best of combinations. Whoa! Oh! Okay, I should have known that was going to happen. I wasn't paying attention, and I was like, oh no, we got enough speed going, this isn't a problem. And then, sure enough, we have too much speed going, and we're slowly making our way towards orbit with the sun, basically, or the sun's SOI specifically. So we're going to slow that down a little bit. Hopefully we did not just waste all of our fuel. Yes, we did. Okay. So, what is this? Alright, Kerbin periapsis. That puts us at... Yeah, okay, that's enough. I really should have been paying attention there, and I was not. Let that be a lesson to you. Always pay attention. Alright. Fortunately, re-entry is still not much of an issue, so what we're going to do is just sort of wing it a little bit. We're going to get it down to 60,000 kilometers and then try to aero brake it in. Or so's the plan. My plan, at least. Let's see. Yeah, I way overestimated that. I should have been suspicious whenever we were going twice the speed it normally takes to maintain orbit on the moon's SOI there. So it was, yeah, definitely an oversight on my part. What can I say? Alright, we're just going to fire up the engines just a tiny bit. Okay. And... Whoa, we are pointed where we want to point. Alright, and then we just watch this go. And hopefully don't run out of fuel before we hit aero braking status. And there we go. Perfect. Okay, cool. Then we speed it up. We can go ahead and take this off, because this ought to be fun. Ooh. Now we're going at 1,000 times speed. You can see things cruising around a little bit. Whoa, that planet is so spinny. Alright, there we go. Look at that. Back home in no time. Good old time warp. And, yeah, now we'll speed it up to 100. We can see the... Is that sunrise? No, that's sunset. Yeah, we can tell because the planet's keeping up with us right there, so... Okay, so we were at 60,000-ish feet, so that basically means what's going to happen is... Whoa, easy. Alright, what I want to do is go ahead and spin this around. We're going to verify that we're actually entering the atmosphere and losing speed before we get ourselves into trouble here. So let's go ahead and wait for our lowest point and see what happens exactly. Yeah, 60,000. We're at 62 kilometers. 61 kilometers and going back up. So we will go ahead and fire just a little bit. Basically half the remainder of our fuel here. And yep, that's definitely getting us much closer to, yeah, look at that. That's not too bad. Okay, cool. And then we will time warp times as fast as it will let us, which isn't much. All right. So now we just have to wait until it will let us go faster. No big deal. Okay. There we go. Whee! And while I'm sure we are aerobraking in the very thin atmosphere, at the very least I would want to get this much further down. That was almost a bad mistake. Like, I should really pay attention to my moon trajectories. Otherwise, we would have probably been stranded in space. And of course, I did not quick save before I took off. I've got to get in the habit of quick saving as well. It's very strange how easy it is to forget something so simple, yet so important to maintaining your regular sanity. Alright, you know what, screw it, we'll just land. Alright. And then we'll come in for our landing, make sure we slow down, all of that fun. Where is it? Where's... Okay, there's the sun. On the other side of the sun, there we go, okay. It's like, why is I cannot be finding of the planet? Weird accents and all this side. Whoa, that was crazy looking. I guess that's what half texture rendering looks like right there, in case you were wondering. Very interesting. Very strange looking as well. Of course, after watching Danny's videos, I'm not surprised by much of anything that could possibly be construed as a glitch in this game for sure. Okay. And here we go. We're at about... Yeah, okay, so time warp has been canceled again, so what we're going to do is try to go for a landing. Redundancy aside, what that entails is we are now going to slow down as much as we can here. Basically use up all of our fuel. Oh, hold on. Why was I hitting right for some reason? I felt like that was necessary to our landing procedure here. Alright, there we go. Didn't slow us down very much, but enough. So, now, yeah, again, once re-entry becomes a real problem, of course it's going to become a real problem. Whoa, why are we going faster than that thing? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Eee. Apparently they have it has a lot more drag than we do, and that's a bit of a problem. Okay, that was almost really bad. Okay. Alright, well, good to know. From now on, I'll be separating along a different line there. So, yeah, that was real scary for a couple seconds. Alright, as soon as re-entry effects are gone, we'll deploy our parachute. All will be well. Okay. Yeah, I saw another Danny video where he decided to try to fire some retro rockets and didn't think it through very much and had way too much thrust. So what ended up happening is he separated from one stage of his ship, and then the next stage was firing the rockets to go slower, and the piece from his last stage just slammed into him at freaking, you know, supersonic speeds and all that. It was rather hilarious, and, you know, of course, this kills the ship. So, alright, we're going to go ahead and deploy. Another thing I haven't really experimented with yet is action groups, and I haven't come up with anything so complicated that I felt I needed it. But stuff like retro rockets and maybe a slightly more successful lander and things like that, I could probably be well served by coming up with action groups to actually assign and all that other fun, but that'll happen eventually, just not immediately. More coffee drinking. Alright, we're going to speed up a little bit. And let's go. Time warp times 3. We're getting pretty close. Yep, there's the chute deployment. And we're watching the ground textures. The last thing I want to do is just go plummeting into the ground. So how has your week been? This is going to be airing when? 10:25. Yeah, that's only a week in the future. So, let me think. Is that exactly a week? Yeah, okay, so at this time, as you're watching this, I will be playing the shit out of Bayonetta. Actually, at this time that you'll be watching this, if it's a Saturday, I will be recording more Kerbal Space Program videos. But right after that, I can guarantee you I'll be playing more Bayonetta. Oh my god, I love that game so much. I'm super hyped for it. And despite what certain online periodicals may have to say about it, I don't care. I think it's fantastic. I think it definitely, while it rides a very tight line between objectification and empowerment, I'd say it errs on the side of empowerment more often than not. So feel free to refute me. That's fine. I'll ignore you. It's not that I'm like, oh, I don't care, you don't have an opinion. It's just I know that anybody who feels strongly one way or another on these kind of arguments is not going to be swayed by my opinion, so I'd rather not stress out about it. That's all there is to it. And likewise, you shouldn't either, because it's like, I mean, I like what I like, you like what you like. I find certain things offensive, you find certain things offensive, and in the end, all we're going to end up doing is yelling at each other, and we miss out a chance for some sort of an interesting friendship. So that doesn't sound like any fun now, does it? Alright. Okay. I'm debating what I want here. So we have docking ports, stack by coupler, adapter. Adapters are nice. They're definitely nice. They clean up a lot of designs. They help with some things. Hitchhiker storage container, Clampetron docking port. Do I want docking ports just yet? I kind of do, but they're really expensive. What is this? This is advanced construction, fuel tanks, structural fuselage, detachment manifold, giant decouplers, adapters, and adapters. This is for planes. We're not doing any atmospheric exploring just yet. Inline stabilizer. Oh yeah, that's right. This was the thing I said I absolutely needed, and I stand by it. Okay, so what is all this other stuff? These are all basically, let's see, these are stack decouplers, RCS fuel tanks, toroidal fuel tank. Is that, yeah, that's actual fuel. So that's kind of interesting. It doesn't have a lot of fuel in it, but I think that's more for like satellite adjustments and things like that. Oscar B fuel tank, liquid fuel engine. If I knew what I was doing with some of these things. Now these, we have the lander cans and the command pods and SAS modules and all of that. That stuff is, for the most part, pretty handy. Let's see, what is this? RCS, yeah, that's another RCS type thruster. Available parts, rechargeable battery bank. I do kind of want those. That seems like maybe one of the better ideas for things I could just go ahead and knock out of the way. But I can also get a thermometer and a mobile processing lab. I don't know exactly how mobile processing labs work. Like, was developed to help increase the amount of science we're able to do in the field. So, samples on site. Models guaranteed to spontaneously combust less than previous models. We might play with that a little bit so I know exactly what's going on there. But, micro landing strut, small gear bay. Oh, it's tough choices. Let's go ahead and get this, because this seems like it might become more of an issue sooner rather than later, and then we can get much better solar panels and rechargeable batteries and things like that in the future. That will make things a little bit easier, and then we can worry about getting more science from different locations later, so on and so forth. But yeah, regardless, we have quite a few things we should probably be concerned about, and right now, I mean, there's not a lot we can do about it. So, okay. Let's check out this satellite lander, as I have called it. Let's load satellite lander. Load. We're going to add some RCS to it really quick. Alright, so first and foremost, I changed it to big boy rockets, as I like to call it, because after a while you just don't use booster rockets anymore. You use these big huge tanks with big huge rockets on them, and you use that to get into the atmosphere. However, because I am partial to the Roman candles here, I will still continue to use them as I see fit. And it works out okay. Like, I get to orbit pretty easily, it controls really well, it's fairly stable. And now we're going to make it even more stable. That's an RCS port. Do we have RCS tanks at all? Yes, okay, we have the monopropellant tanks, which are the tanks that fuel the RCS, which we are going to stick damn near everywhere. Okay, just to help us with different points of control and all that. Alright, thruster block. I don't know. Mass 0.5, mass 0.5. 001. Yeah, this is less drag. I don't know what the thruster power is. 1 and 100. 1 and 100, 260. Yeah, so there's almost no difference except this has less drag. So I guess that means we'll use these. Alright. Okay, so yeah, that's exactly where I want it to be. And then we're gonna add some here. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that, yeah, the torque is kind of based on where, or the amount of torque you get from these things is kind of based on, why does it automatically switch to 6? That's interesting. I don't quite understand it, but oh well. Yeah, the torque is kind of based on where you put these things. So I don't know exactly what kind of implications it is whenever I put them in some places rather than others. Other than I know it works, it makes things a little bit easier, and if I really thought about it, I could probably come up with a really good idea for what to do with them. However, I am lazy, so that's a problem. Let's see, propulsion, and go ahead and stick it around here. This is a ring around the collar situation. That works. Okay, tons of monopropellant. A little ugly looking, but we'll save it. Save. Alright, and then we'll launch it. We're going to Minmus. We're going to go get a whole bunch more research and then see what happens. Okay, or so is the plan. Now you'll get to see what it looks like launching. We'll probably end the video around the time we're getting our... what the hell? Seriously. Is that necessary? Hold on. To vehicle assembly. I think there's some slight issues with the way that the game now handles collisions with the landing pad. Because it seems like, yeah, maybe I am a little too low, but I also have my suspicions that the pylons will also sink into the ground and destroy the landing pad. Save. I think last time that happened, I just launched before it became an issue, so yeah, let's see what happens now. Okay, any second now. Alright, it's settled in. Alright, the pylons, maybe not. Maybe I'm just wrong all the time. I would not be surprised. Okay, let's lift off, shall we? The way they kind of rock too now is a little worrisome. There we go. We got a lot more torque power, which is awesome, and not to be mistaken or misconstrued with torque power, which is a wholly different force in the universe. There we go. We turned on our RCS so you can see the jets firing off there. It's good stuff. And they kind of fire based on where you are in the center of mass. And, there was a bug. Scott Manley kind of showed this bug, and I haven't really tested it, but it was in an earlier version, so I don't assume it still works. We are kind of doing a little bit of an early gravity turn just to get the ball rolling here before our next stage. So, let's see. You are... Which rockets are you? I shouldn't be asking these questions, but hey. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn it up a notch. Okay. We're going to see exactly what's going to happen here, where I might have some slight flaws in my design very soon. So... Ah, okay, those were the little assistant separation rockets. Okay. Are they actually called separatrons? I can't remember. I know something's called a separatron, but I can't remember if that's like the actual part that detonates whenever you hit that, or if that was the name of the little tiny rockets I put on top of the tanks. So yeah, so now we have monopropellant to keep track of, and we've already used quite a bit of it, especially since we have RCS activated with SAS, which means it will continue to fire tiny amounts of RCS every time, or monopropellant every time it feels that it needs to make a correction, so we'll try to avoid that whenever possible. But hopefully the big struggling, straining, constipation noises I was making before have come to an end. At least I certainly hope so. That was getting a little awkward whenever I was watching my videos before, and I was like, oh my god, I'm a giant goober. Alright, well, I guess that's not the worst thing. So, we are continuing to make our turn as apoapsis begins to take off here. Just slightly, just barely. And then we'll hit about 70, 75 kilometers and then cut the engines. So, that's the plan, and then we'll straighten it out and get our horizontal momentum going, and all will be relatively well. Or, yeah, once again, so is the plan. And ready, and... well, I want to get a couple more kilometers here. Cut. Alright. And then we'll turn perfectly east-westerly. Oh, here's a good time for RCS. And there we go. See, it makes it so much easier to turn. Alright, and it's going to... SAS is going to cause it to fire backwards just a little bit, which is fine. And... oh, just barely. Okay, let's turn back RCS. And then wait until we're stable at the horizon line here. Just a little bit above it, though. Okay. Alright, that looks about right. Okay. And here comes our prograde marker. Waiting for that to finally settle in. And ready, steady, fire. Alright, cool. I could, if I really wanted to be a creature of forethought and good planning, actually figure out what angle I need to turn in order to match Minmus's orbit right off the gate instead of doing the corrective turn that I'll be doing later. But you know, that's only part of the fun missing there, you know. Okay. Or you're missing out on part of the fun when you do that, I should say. Another thing I learned is that it very much so depends on what order you actually stick your tubes on to get fuel to flow. That might have been a problem I had in one of my earlier videos where I was like, why do you have no fuel? Transfer fuel. And it was because there's actually little tiny arrows. You can kind of see them. Yeah, there we go. Maybe that's... yeah, this is pointing that way, so it's draining fuel from the big tank into the small tanks there. You kind of get the idea, but yeah, that was something I was not aware of until it was almost too late there, so, you know, off-camera engineering is not necessarily a bad idea. Alright, now we're definitely burning through our fuel at a really good rate, but not a bad one whatsoever. And we are nearing our 2 kilometers a second mark that we need in order to at least feel comfortable in orbit. And... there we go. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, we're almost there. It's about 2250, 2250, 2250 meters a second that we usually want to aim for, and that's how we know that we have achieved orbit. And then after that, we have to be careful about our fine-tuning, otherwise we can go flinging way off the planet. And look at that, we just barely established an orbit and we run out of fuel. So that did exactly what I wanted it to do. Now we're a lot lighter. We can establish a much better orbit. And I am going to continue doing this because we are sinking a little bit below the horizon here, and that's not exactly a good thing. Okay, cool. So, this is what I was afraid of. We're going to end up arrow braking a little bit, so before we end this episode, I want to make sure we make it through this without too much problem. Yeah, you can see we're losing a little bit of height here because we are still in the atmosphere. Didn't quite maintain the height that I wanted to, but oh well, you know, don't cry over spilt milk and the like. We're going to turn on RCS, bring things a little bit closer here. Monopropellant is fine. And yeah, I basically want to switch, I want to shrink this down considerably so that we're not way out there. I don't think it's entirely necessary to do so. And then we can adjust from there. Okay. Whoa. I mean, as far as I can tell, the only argument for keeping a really low orbit is that you're using less fuel to achieve it. And then after that, it doesn't really matter. I mean, as far as my own, like, again, not rocket scientist, etc., disclaimer. And there we go. I'm pretty happy with that. 123 brings things a little bit closer. We're going to zoom around here. And it's not going to let me time warp because we're still in atmosphere. Okay. Can we please speed up this process a little bit? I'd love it if we did that. Oh, can we please turn off RCS as well? That would also be great. Alright, and we are very slowly exiting the atmosphere. And... come on. Alright, any second now. Okay, I think that's enough. Yeah, 70,000 is enough. Let's go ahead and speed up, circularize orbit, and then I'll end the video. So, yeah, this is Cardboard Decoy playing Kerbal Space Program. If you are enjoying this, please do like, comment, and subscribe. I would much appreciate it. Who wouldn't really? It's just nice to do, especially if you enjoy my particular brand of stream of consciousness nonsense and all of that fun. Which, depending on the game, especially games like this, in my opinion, works fairly well, which is why I even decided to bother. Plus, everybody seems to like my city building videos, and so that's the only reasoning I could assume as to why people would sit through it, is because every now and then I rant off tangent and off topic, and it can be kind of fun sometimes. Let's see. Oh, do I need to turn on RCS for this? Yes, just because we are already passing apoapsis, and we need to be making our adjustments right now. Okay, and let's stretch you out a little bit. That's what he said. Oh man, that's kind of awful, actually. Alright. Alright. And, okay. Perfect dish. So, yeah, our target is Minmus. We are heading to Minmus. We have a pretty decent amount of fuel. That should be enough to get us over there. We'll see about getting back. That ought to be real fun. Otherwise, yeah, that should be interesting to see. So I will see you tomorrow where we will do that. Have fun.